Hello and happy, beautiful day to you. Welcome back. On today's quick IQ episode, I want to share with you a very powerful insight that's pretty counterintuitive that holds people back all of the time from getting real results to make a real change and a real transformation in their life. Now, by the way, before I go there, I just want to say I am so beyond grateful just to you, to everybody. This last week, my work was featured in Star Magazine. And what I love about this is that I know that 20 plus years ago, when I started working on healing and mind-body healing and, the power of the mind, it of course seems so woo and so not the norm and maybe uncool or weird, if you will. And I just love that it's becoming more and more welcomed in mainstream, so much so that, again, Star Magazine featured me in my work. It was amazing. And so, by the way, if you want to see that article, I'll go ahead and have my team put that in the show notes. But just really, really, it just makes my heart so happy. First, grateful, but seeing the work get out there more and more and more, where people are seeing, yes, we can do this, and yes, we can create a real change, and understanding that. And of course, the more that every single person gets real results, that's how we also make a bigger change. That's what I always said after I healed myself. I said that, there's two things that we really need to change healthcare and help more and more people heal. And it's number one, understanding how to get results, basically how to get results. And number two, getting real results, meaning that, of course, we need real results and we need to understand how to do it so we can repeat the process and get it done. And so those specific things. And so that's what I want to share with you today is kind of a counterintuitive piece that keeps a lot of people stuck. And it's this. It's that a lot of people get in their heads and they like to learn, the mind-body healing and energy and how it works. It's fascinating. And when you think about our thoughts help create our lives and psychology, when the more you start really reading it and understanding it, it's exciting. But what most people are not good at is reprogramming themselves, changing their nervous system. And so it would be like this. If I wanted to learn how to play basketball and as good as Michael Jordan, I might be a little shorter, but and then I read all about it and I said, oh, I know how to do it. But the change comes, being able to get your nervous system and your muscle memory to actually do that and shoot like a basketball or a golf swing, if you will. And so what I would say is a lot of people get so much in their head that they also resist change. And by the way, I've seen people before where I'll see somebody who's working on healing themselves and maybe they get an email or something happens that they don't like and they'll say something like this. I sent an email to so-and-so in all caps and blah, blah, blah. I'm working on healing myself. Doesn't he understand? Eek. No, she's not. She wasn't working on healing herself. She's sending all caps and that's the very problem that's keeping her stuck. So it's looking at that scenario I see where people do that very thing. They get all upset about this or that or whatnot. And, I'm working on healing myself, or they're angry about this or that. And they're like, I'm working on healing myself. It's like, but no, you're not. That's not real change. That stuff can all hold you back. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen people who are stuck in fear or this or that or whatnot and suppressing emotions. In fact, the last divine timing, the last podcast episode, I worked with our beautiful volunteer, and that was the very thing in her life, suppressing emotions in her own life in a different way. So hers, but suppressing instead of changing and transforming. So sometimes what people do is they have the emotions and they're outwardly, upset with this or sending so-and-so all caps mean email there or whatnot, and not realizing, can that impact their healing? 100%, absolutely. But not realizing that they're doing that. Or Or people do that where they're trying to change. They really, really want to. They know the negative emotions can affect their physical body, and so they're just suppressing them. They have fear, they're suppressing it. They have anger, they have suppressing it. Their frustration, they're suppressing it. It is so common. And so what I want to keep in mind is this. How do you change? What is real change? One of the things that people tend to do is they sit with the negative. They embrace the negative. They welcome the negative. Okay. It doesn't change their brain the way you'd want it to. So the way to think about how do you change, if we put it very simply, imagine if I went from speaking English to speaking French. If I said, I want to go from speaking English to speaking French, what do I need to do? I need to start learning French. I need to get it in. I really need to get fluent in it so I can start speaking French. Okay, so similarly, the first step of change is to really decide what we want to do and what we want to be and what to program in our minds and start programming in so it becomes fluent, right? And so often I see people who are, sitting with the negative, or they're getting, of course, getting triggered and sucked into the old negative ways. And so what we really have to do is we have to become, quote unquote, fluent, if you will, in the new mindset. And part of becoming fluent in the new mindset is we decide on the new mindset, but then we also have to do what? We have to rewire the subconscious mind, the nervous system. So we have to understand the subconscious mind and rewiring it and changing it. And so that's what I want to invite you to look at, is really rewiring the subconscious mind. Now, one part is tricky, again, is kind of coming back to the simplicity, is that especially if somebody's smart, so often people's minds race really fast and they go, oh, I know this. Oh, I know this. Oh, I know this. But we're not just memorizing information. We're memorizing and programming in emotions. And that's a different animal. So it's one thing to say, oh, okay, I know this. But it's another thing to rewire and reprogram emotions. And what's tricky is that, especially most of us, I know I did this, where I was so good at suppressing my emotions that sometimes I didn't even realize what I was feeling. And then I had to, tune in and be honest with myself. And so what is my point? My point is that, of course, to make a real change, to get real results in your life, you've got to really, really, really change. And so the more you understand it, then the more you really want to master your ability to rewire your subconscious mind, to really program it, to not just go, okay, I need to, to really program, to really be willing to change the self. What does it feel like? What does it look like to change the self? If you hear me say all the time that, who I was during my injury, it's so different. Like, I'm a different person now. I have changed. And so what's great is that through this process of transformation, you change change your emotions, the way you feel. And it's eye-opening. Like it's like, imagine if you were to automatically just be programmed for happiness, be programmed for safety, be programmed that you're not getting aggro, but be programmed, aggravated or frustrated or whatnot, and be programmed to feel loving, to be programmed to feel like love is safe. It's just your automatic norm. It's what you see. It's what you feel. Of course, it's different for every person on what specific emotion. So I don't want to imply that you have to be perfect and fix everything. You don't, to heal. But of course, it'd be great to. But ultimately, what we need to do is dial in and understand what are the specifics. And that's why with each person, I'm always looking at that. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, there are a lot of people that I've worked with who have been very happy people, and yet they have an underlying subconscious pattern that's triggering here, or, it's affecting their health and life. And so it's not just about happiness or stress. It's about understanding and seeing what's in the subconscious mind, but then changing it. So you subconscious mind, if going back to that simple analogy of change, so the subconscious mind no longer speaks English and now speaks French or whatever it is, it's changing. And so you really feel different inside at a deeper, deeper level. And so just food for thought. And on some levels, I know this may sound very simple, but what happens? What happens if you really, really, really change? If you change at a deeper level, if you're honest with yourself on how you're feeling. And what's beautiful is that all of the time, I mean, the results and the changes that I see people make, absolutely incredible. And so it's just beautiful what we're all capable of. So just food for thought. And of course, if you'd like the deeper training on even more specifics, I have a free training on my website. But just thinking about that exact thing. So what are you going to really change in your day today? Like if you're changing the way you feel today, how are you going to feel today? And can you step into that? And can you start speaking that fluently? Can you start feeling that way fluently? And can you make sure that you're not getting sucked into old triggers and old emotions or just burying them or hiding them, but you genuinely don't feel the same as you used to? So just simplifying it, food for thought, embracing the real change, and it's truly incredible how much life can change. And so it has been such a pleasure. Remember to just simplify and focus on real results. So that, of course, is the key. And that's today's quick insight for today. And as always, I ask you to please do take a quick moment to hit the share button on this episode. Share it with somebody you love, somebody you care about, or somebody you don't even know. Because the more that every single person is happy and healthy and loved and loving, the better this world is for all of us. And by the way, on that note, there's the article if you want to check that out again. It just makes me so happy that healing and self-healing and self-empowerment is just getting out there more and more and more. It just makes me so happy. So if you want to check out that article, it'll be in the show notes. And of course, as always, I'm wishing you a wonderful, happy, healthy, incredible, fantastic rest of your day. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. We'll see you there.